All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM, New York.
Good morning. 62 degrees. It is 9 o'clock on this Wednesday, September 20th. I'm Susan Richard, and here's what's happening. The Bronx daycare death of a 1-year-old now bringing federal charges against the 2 suspects. Protesters block a bus dropping off migrants at a shelter in Midland Beach, Staten Island. Governor Hochul meets with President Biden to talk about the migrant crisis, but still no word on more federal help. 3 students stabbed near a high school in Brownsville. And are you feeling like this at work?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Yeah, a survey says you and a lot of other people. In sports, both the Mets and Yanks lost. AccuWeather looks good. Sunshine today and a high of 76. Winds News Time 9:01. Let's get traffic and transit. Here's Karen Stewart.
We still have the inbound George lower level with the left lane closed near the toll plaza. There is a disabled vehicle there that they can't manage to clear away quickly enough. Inbound George upper is 50 minutes. The inbound Lincoln is 45, and the inbound Holland Tunnel is an hour 5, hour 10 right now. The westbound LIE accident at the Grand Central Parkway is still there. The left lane is blocked. We've got delays that go back to Francis Lewis Boulevard. The northbound Clearview, north of the LIE, has got an accident there, and the right lane is closed. Let's check on Jersey, shall we? New Jersey Turnpike northbound car lane south of 13 for the Gothels have an accident. The left lane is shut there. 27 northbound at Howell Lane in Franklin Township got a down traffic signal still out there, and all lanes are still blocked. And in Hawthorne, southbound 208 at Gothel Road, we've got an accident with a left lane closure there. Mass Transit 1, 6, N, R, W, and Q subway train delays. Alternate side in effect. It's another gridlock alert day, and we're sponsored by the New Jersey Department of Transportation. When road crews are in a work zone, one crash can turn a day on the job into a family's worst nightmare. They put their lives in your hands, so put yourself in their shoes and slow down. Together with the New Jersey Department of Transportation, we can make the roadway safer for everyone. I'm Karen Stewart, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
It is federal charges now against 2 people accused in the fentanyl death of a 1-year-old in the Bronx.
U.S. Attorney Damian Williams calls the defendants' alleged actions unconscionable, inexcusable.
We allege that the defendants poisoned 4 babies and killed one of them because they were running a drug operation from a daycare center. A daycare center. A place where children should be kept safe, not surrounded by a drug that could kill them in an instant.
1 child died, 2 others revived with Narcan. Another child's parents had him home and had to bring him to a hospital. When investigators arrived on the scene,
they found a brick of fentanyl, about 1 kilogram in weight, right on top of children's play mats in the daycare's closet.
Additional evidence reveals that the daycare operator called her partners before dialing 911 for help. Juliet Papa, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
And police are still looking for her husband. Another rowdy protest on Staten Island over housing migrants in that borough. In fact, yesterday, some demonstrators physically stood in the way.
Police cordoned off the block in front of a new shelter on Midland Avenue next to Father Capodanno Boulevard in Midland Beach. Last night, a large crowd blocked a bus bringing migrants to the shelter. The audio of that commotion courtesy of the Citizens app. Police took 10 protesters into custody, giving 9 of them summonses for disorderly conduct and arresting 1 of them for assault. City Councilman David Carr telling the Staten Island Advance, the city continues to dig its own grave even deeper with each new shelter it opens. Mayor Adams says the city needs to shelter migrants wherever it can. Roger Stern, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM. in Midland Beach, Staten Island.
Schools Chancellor David Banks to give his State of New York City school speech at 9:30 this morning, and he may need to add to it following what went down yesterday in Brownsville.
This type of thing doesn't happen often around here, says Annette Cummings.
I'm not fearful for my life or fearful. Think it would occur again. No, I'm not. I'm afraid of that.
Police got the call about 3 in the afternoon near Brownsville Academy High School. One was stabbed in the chest. The 2 others were slashed in the ear and chest. They're all in stable condition. This woman, just a few doors down from Annette, says violence is all too common here.
Every week is something. Smoking, drinking, and instead of going to school, going in people's buildings to smoke.
Yeah, so they need to close the school down.
The Department of Education says police, EMS, and school staff responded quickly and that the violence happened off school property. Mac Rosenberg, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Brownsville.
The DOE also saying it will provide the necessary follow-up support for any student who needs it. 62 degrees now. It's mostly sunny. The humidity 60%. The winds are northwest at 10. We're heading up to a sunny 76 today in Central Park. President Biden's been in town since Sunday for the UN General Assembly, but it appears there will be no get-together with Mayor Adams. The city's been at odds with the White House over the migrant crisis. Governor Hochul did meet with the president last night. She later tweeted that they had a very productive conversation regarding some of her specific requests for help with the crisis. The governor did not, however, get specific. Today, Mr. Biden will sit down with the leaders of Brazil and Israel.
The meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will focus on a range of bilateral issues, but it comes against the backdrop of Israel's judicial overhaul, which has been a source of unease for President Biden. The overhaul has led to the largest protest movement in Israel's history, and it has been viewed as an affront to democracy. In contrast, Mr. Biden and Brazilian President Luiz da Silva will announce a new partnership, one that is meant to strengthen workers' rights, even as Biden confronts the strike by U.S. auto workers against the big three automakers.
That's correspondent Linda Kenyon. The president of Ukraine addresses the UN Security Council today. Yesterday, President Zelensky spoke before the full body.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned more than 100 world leaders that Russia might come for their countries next. It isn't stopped in Ukraine.
And the goal of the present war against Ukraine is to turn our lands, our people, our lives, our resources into a weapon against you.
Ukraine has already received hundreds of billions of dollars in international aid. But as the conflict moves into its 19th month, there are concerns global coffers could dry up.
That's Nancy Cordes. Up next for Zelensky, a White House meeting tomorrow, then Capitol Hill later this week. Meantime, he is urging Donald Trump to go public with what the former president has claimed is his plan to end the war within 24 hours. Trump has been talking about that in both interviews and at campaign events. Attorney General Merrick Garland testifying today at what is supposed to be a routine oversight hearing on Capitol Hill. The same committee to hold their first hearing next week on the impeachment inquiry into President Biden.
A House Oversight Committee spokesman says it will focus on constitutional and legal questions surrounding allegations of the president's involvement in son Hunter Biden's overseas business dealings. Republicans like Majority Whip Tom Emmer say their probe has uncovered a culture of corruption within the Biden family.
President Biden repeatedly lied to the American people about his involvement in his family's corrupt business dealings.
While Emmer stresses the inquiry is only a tool to learn more about the allegations, the White House blasts the move as a political stunt amid a presidential campaign. California Democrat Pete Aguilar says the GOP again gave in to what Donald Trump wants.
The revenge tour of his prior impeachments.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Next week's impeachment hearing is set for Thursday, just 2 days before the deadline to avoid a government shutdown. Lawyers for Hunter Biden say the president's son will plead not guilty to federal firearms charges.
Hunter Biden is accused of lying about his drug use when he bought a firearm in October of 2018. He has acknowledged struggling with addiction to crack cocaine during that time. He's accused of keeping the gun for 11 days. Hunter Biden is asking to enter the plea remotely via video conference to save on Secret Service costs, as he would need to travel from California to Delaware. Prosecutors, however, are expected to oppose that request. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Now this message, Riverside Memorial Chapel, for generations, a symbol of Jewish tradition and uncompromising quality. Well, this is such a great song.
Don't want to get a copyright strike.
You are not alone. We'll have that story coming up, plus traffic and AccuWeather next on 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
This cardboard order, is it up to date?
Camila's recyclable coffee cup factory can no longer be considered a grande.
Redesigned? It's at the printer.
She needs more designers to jump the business to a triple shot.
All right, guys, thank you so much for following me on this journey to document history. Keep in mind that this is not the most entertaining type of video in terms of YouTube or the most exciting, but I feel it's important to document our history. I have been told in comments that What I'm doing is not necessary because the internet is around and anyone can look at news on the internet and history and things like that. And that is true. However, most of those internet outlets that do document the news, most of those news stories are national news, and also news that I would say, are really big things that are happening or that has happened. What I feel gets lost in this equation is your local news snippets, meaning little things, or not little things. I mean, all news is news, right? But the local news a lot of times have things that are not part of the national story, and they're not really big news stories. So a lot of your local news stories will get lost to history if they're not documented on this forum, because these are sometimes community interest stories, things like that. So anyway, that's the other reason. The other thing is, I'm usually asked if I can drive on other streets when I do the news videos. The problem with that is, this is my commute to work, and that's the premise, driving to work, listening to the news. So this particular playlist, the majority of the videos are going to be the same streets, except today I decided to forego going on River Road in Elmwood Park, and I went around to this street here. So just keep in mind, if you really want to see other videos with other streets, follow my Fred Drives playlist and my Pride in Patterson playlist. Those playlists have a bunch of other streets. My Pride in Patterson videos have about 200 episodes there, and I believe almost 100 episodes of Fred Drives, which are other streets in northern New Jersey. So keep that in mind, guys. If you want to be part of the ATF squad, All Things Fred community, make sure to subscribe to my channel. There's a lot of content coming up, folks, so make sure you don't miss any of it. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next video.